Alrighty. We've done checks, we've done character creation, we've done combat. What's left really that's important for a combat-focused RPG then? Ah yes, progression. Throughout the course of your time playing a certain fixer's urban nightmare, you will of course rank up to higher grades. As a result, you'll be able to expand your capabilities. This means being able to equip more stuff at once in your grid, gaining more base stats, getting access to more skills at once, augment limit increases, and a swath of other unique ways to further engage in combat. So how do you grade up to begin with? Currently, we have this by volume of contracts undertaken, at least in order to speed up the playtest. But in future, you could run it as milestone or even fixer grade exams from the HANA if you'd prefer to be more lore-friendly about matters. Regardless, once you've gotten that blip up in a grade, what do you get? Well, at each grade you receive something slightly different, so we'll be needing to go through each one by one. At a baseline, at grade 9, when creating your character, you've selected your base class, assigned your starting stats, picked out 2 skills, filled 4 grid slots, and are able to use 1 augment within your grid. When you reach grade 8, you get to assign 2 more points to base stats. You can place 1 in 2 different stats, or just bump any of the 6 stats by 2. Past there, you can pick another skill from the general skill list and expand your grid by 1 slot, allowing you to equip another item. You get to equip 1 more augment, and your pool of wounds also increases by 1. Essentially, this is an improved baseline to show that you're no longer just a wannabe fixer. While you aren't exactly association material yet, at the very least you've likely been successful enough to clear a job or case. Let's say you hit grade 7, the baseline stuff is about the same, 2 stat points, a skill, a new grid slots for a total of 6, and 1 more augment slot, moving it up to 3 total augments. Rather than an extra wound though, you now get access to an additional chain. This is an extra degree of competence that allows you to take twice as many actions during combat, whether it be mixing in an additional shift or cipher, using the extra chain to disengage, or to slot in 2 links during declarations to attack twice, defend against multiple attacks, or even mix the 2. Essentially, having this second chain is a major leap in flexibility. In addition to that, you also get your second class skill, furthering your association's class capabilities. These are things like major boosts to defense and allies through Guardian for the Zwei, or being able to add multi-target to your links to mass attack as a Lu through Rushdown. Regardless, all grade 7 fixers get access to these massive upgrades in abilities. For this particular grade, you can factor it in as your character finally passing their association's exam and becoming a member of Section 6 proper, rather than just being an aspirant anymore. Welcome to the start of the big leagues. Beyond all of that, empowerments also get a kick up in power here. When links are performed by a matching empowerment, they now gain even more effects. For swords and melee links, this is generating an additional defensive spark. For wands and ranged links, sparks now apply to posture damage of shoots, rather than just affecting their combat skill for accuracy. For cups and evade links, each spark used on an evade is now worth 2 times as much, adding 2 defense to an evade per spark when used. For pentacles and guard links, you generate an additional offensive spark. All of the above is unique to those card suits and does not get applied when you empower using a trump card, with the exception of your personal trump. Moving further up in hierarchy, you get to grade 6. This is another baseline gain like the rest, but instead of a chain or wound stat increase, you get a skill activation count. You can now use 2 active skills a turn instead of just 1. This allows you to use quite a few combinations of actives, or otherwise save a skill used to react with specifically timed skills. Essentially, more power and options to represent you establishing yourself as a fairly capable member of Section 6, ready for the next step in your fixer career. Grade 5 and pretty much every grade up from here is functionally moving up a section at this point, measuring a marked improvement in capabilities. Grade 5 is the true beginning of your journey as a fixer, since many builds will come online at this stage. Unfortunately, this is where some baseline additions start slowing down. You only gain 1 base stat from here on out to assign. You get to select your last general fixer skill as well. From here on, you only get the option to replace skills on grade up instead of getting new ones. Aside from that, you'll get another augment limit, bringing the number of augments you can equip up to 5. 1 more wound also gets added to your pool of wounds, and you get an ego gift slot. Ego gifts are obtainable through interactions with abnormalities, resulting in unique bonuses and adjustments to various capabilities based on classification and whatnot. Treat it as a pool of limited, strong, potentially build-defining equipment that requires special encounters to obtain. Finally, for one little extra step on top, you unlock both Shin and Mang at this point. This may seem a bit early to be getting such, but your use of it is still very unstable and rather difficult to reliably obtain. Shin in this system at first is a choice of one more skill from the generic list. You can only utilize the skill once you have entered Shin. You do this by expending 10 sparks throughout an encounter. Without any additional sources of sparks to boost your spark gain and usage, you only get 2 to 4 sparks to use per turn at this stage. Since encounters are designed to last no more than 5 turns ideally, this means you will only have access to your Shin towards the end of an encounter for the time being. As for Mang, you need to use 10 sparks at once to generate one Mang ring to begin with. Outside of spark-focused builds, getting 10 sparks to burn away in a single turn is difficult. You can attach this ring to any offensive link, adding 1 wound damage on hit to said link. Each ring deals a wound damage on hit, ignoring posture entirely. So with 3 Mang rings attached to a link, it will always deal 3 wounds of damage on hit, alongside any posture damage it would have otherwise done. Do note that Mang rings do not add any combat skill onto a link like offensive sparks would. Plus, utilizing the rings is considered something of a gamble, especially against equally skilled opponents. From here on, grading up doesn't quite provide as massive a boost in power, at least not on the individual level. That said, for grade 4, you get a base stat, the option to swap a skill out, an additional grid slot bringing you up to 8, another augment limit for 6 total, and a skill activation limit. Functionally, you can now activate 3 skills a turn, allowing you to further turn the tides in your favor. All the more so when you finally reach grade 3, at which point you also unlock your 3rd class skill. These are all huge capstones for a class's capabilities. This is why it gets access to Law and Order. This allows them to consume defensive sparks for 2 protection stacks each. In addition, they can't be staggered while the skill is active. This lets them grit through and continue blocking attacks and intervening without any pause. Another capstone skill would be the Shi's Boundary of Death. This has the Shi top deck for a single link, aiming for the 4 of Swords. If they somehow manage to get this specific card in the whole deck, the link gains plus 45 extra combat skill when performed. If it is a card with card power of 4, it'll count as a matching suit, regardless though. These are massive boosts in capabilities for all classes when obtained. With the extra skill activation from grade 4, this means a player could use every skill from their class in a turn if they so desired, else mix in some generic skills accordingly. In addition to the above, you of course get 1 more base stats, the chance to swap out another skill, another ego gift and augment slot, and finally 1 more chain. You can now perform 3 links in combat or otherwise spread out said chain for other uses during other phases. Between 3 skill activations and 3 chain, everyone who reaches grade 3 has a lot of capabilities per turn. Note that by this point, if you're running a full party of 6 players, each turn is going to take quite a lot of time. Set aside an appropriate amount of time for combat because yeah, no matter how you slice it, this is when things will start compounding. Thankfully at this point, it is unlikely to take any longer from there, at least until we add some expansions, but by then we'd be looking at some potential streamlining. At grade 2, you get 1 more base stats, the chance to swap a skill, your final grid slot, and another augment limit. That is all. Same roughly goes with grade 1. Just exchange the grid slots for your 3rd ego gift slot instead. Beyond there is customizing your Shin and Mang based capabilities, but for the time being, that is on the back burner as the playtest group has yet to make it that far. There's actually a good chunk of grade 3s at this point for that lot. Anyhow, today's video is on the shorter end as I'll be planning for the end of month one-shot. Good odds that it'll be pushed back a week though, since it's my partner's birthday on the exact day. Beyond that, thanks for listening in, even if today was brief. Join up on the Discord if you'd like a chance to participate in a playtest. Otherwise, next week we'll be going over more dealer-centric matters and bookkeeping recommendations.